Okay, good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday, happy weekend. Um, my thought for you is that I've been playing with this week or thinking about this week is that we have this concept in yoga about, embodiment and liberation, right? So what is the ultimate goal of yoga? It's to have this realization of the self that is beyond this physical body and mind. And that by having that realization, you're no longer sort of bound by the limitations that seem to be, really inherent in having a body and a mind, right? We're not stuck in our thoughts. We're not stuck in our emotions. We're not stuck in the world. So that's that feeling is that you can still be doing everything that you're doing, but your experience of what you're doing is liberated, right? So we talk about those things as being what we're doing with our practices. We're trying to find that path of liberation. And it used to mean, and olden times, it used to mean that literally understanding this concept and then getting out of the body, right? Getting out of this cycle of being born into the world and having to live a life. But that attitude kind of changed over time to being that this embodiment is how we are able to have that realization, right? That without this embodiment, there is no realization, right? Without this embodiment, there is no experience of something, right? There has to be an embodiment in order for us to know ourselves. And we know ourselves largely through how we know each other, right? Our embodiments are tied together. That's what we call karma, right? Is that we're here together for the relationships and the relationships that maybe have happened before or that might have to happen in what we consider to be a later time is they're all intertwined, right? So the concept of our embodiment and our liberation is that we are tied together. So there's no such thing like the yogis used to think of like, oh, it's just me. If I can get out of this, then that's great. And the rest of you figure it out yourselves, right? It's not up to me. So this understanding of us being tied together is that our embodiment is what allows all of us to become free, right? And we do that not just by, right? We often say that we're practicing for the benefit of all beings, and that's beautiful. And it's absolutely where our minds and our hearts can be, maybe should be. But we do it not just by thinking in that group way of I'm trying to do this for you, right? That's the opposite of it's just me and I'm trying to get out, but doing it saying I'm doing it for you and I'll sit here and suffer, right? Also doesn't work. We have to be in this mode where the intertwining says that I'm practicing for me, right? This practice is for me. And through my own realization, through my own liberation from my thoughts, my emotions, my stuckness, the things that I am tied to so strongly, is that will free you as well, right? So it's be this interesting place where what we call our embodiment, everything that is coming downward into being, and our liberation, which is everything that's rising back up into that infinite space, is that they meet in the middle and it's the same path, right? So it's not you and me, it's just us. And if I'm going one way, I see it as me. And if I'm going the other way, I see it as you. But when I'm right in the middle, I see it as us intertwined, right? So because the world continues to be in a crazy place, my mind keeps going to this idea that how do we get out, right? Not me, how do I get out? How do we get out? Because it's not enough for just me to somehow escape from it or the people that I am most entwined with to escape from it. How do we all dissolve this, right? Get out of it. And it's partially through this understanding that this practice is for you. And by it being for you, through you, that liberation will come to others as well, right? We break down the walls collectively. We break down those things collectively that are keeping us entwined in a way that is stuck, right? So the practice is for you. That's my point, is don't get stuck in either it's for somebody else, other beings. And it's also not just for me and nobody else matters, right? It's in that middle place. So comfortable seat if you're not there already. So my joke with Mark that I gave him the power to record and said, with that power comes great responsibilities, that we can get stuck with that responsibility when we say our practice is for all beings. Somehow I have to do this for everyone and it's too much. So don't do that to yourself. Close your eyes and let the practice be for you. Because every little bit that you liberate yourself, it will liberate others. And even if you have just half a thought that you hope that they find liberation too, that's enough. Eventually that thought, yoga tells us, will become so entwined with our thought that says, may I become liberated or may I reach realization, that you'll include them too. Your practice becomes something that benefits them, whoever them is. So eyes closed for a moment, breathe deeply into the base of your spine. And then follow the breath on the inhale all the way up to the crown of the head. And the exhale, let it slide down the spine, back to the tail. It's the paths of liberation, the mukti, it's the upward path. Path of embodiment, bhukti, downward path. And so you are breathing them and they are the same path. So as you breathe up, the next inhale, let the breath, imagine it going above the top of your head like it's fountaining out. And there's just this bright light that fountains out of the top of the head, cascades down the body. So allow your breath to move like that, inhaling all the way up the spine like a fountain and then just cascading out through the crown. They say this is what the crown chakra is like. It's like an umbrella, it's like a fountain. It's not condensed in one place, but it's washing over you all the time, washing through you all the time. The crown chakra is how we experience, we say that's the place that is the closest to pure experience of your soul. Breathe that realization that you are not just a body, you are not just a mind. And every breath, you are breathing a soul. You are a soul breathing. And with your next exhale, you may keep that visualization if you'd like, or let it go. Bring the hands together in front of the heart, palm to palm. We'll open with the sound of Om, deep breath in. And with the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release your hands, please. Then come forward, two hands and knees, and come into child's pose, knees nice and wide. Big toes together to touch. Hips back to your heels. Right? We tell the story sometimes of what they call the bodhisattva, which is the practitioner or the person who finds their way to essentially liberation, enlightenment, and they realize what they are understanding. And instead of running to it, right, they stand right on the edge. They say, like on the wall of a beautiful garden, and they call out to everybody else, hey, it's over here. What you're looking for is over here. Everything that you're looking for is over here. And come here, I'll help you up. I'll help you climb the wall. I'll help you get over. And so it's a beautiful image, right? Walk yourself over the right thigh, please. Belly over the right thigh. It's a beautiful image, right? Of someone who is holding themselves right off the edge of, I could be out of this, I could be done, but I'm going to stay for you. And the concept, the story always touches me very deeply. And I say, oh, I want to do that. I want to be that. Walk yourself back to center, go to your left. And then the weight of that responsibility, right? Waiting for everybody else to maybe figure it out. And how many, you can imagine when that person or that being is sitting on the wall, how many they call out to that don't hear them, or just keep running the other direction. There's a point, right, where we can't place that kind of personal responsibility on ourselves because that continues to keep us enmeshed in this feeling of me and you being separate. Come back to center, please. Good. One more deep breath. Squeeze the knees towards your ribs, round into your low back, into your low belly. Drop those hips towards your heels. So you really breathe wide into your sacrum. Good. And then walk yourself back up to hands and knees, please. Nice. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, come into downward facing dog. Pedal the feet just a little bit, let your hips move from side to side. Right. So the idea is that you do not have to be a bodhisattva. You don't have to put yourself in that position that says, I'm going to actively sit and chase people or wait until everybody else gets it. But realize that as long as there's a little space in your mind that says that if I can do this, they can do this. And if I can find my way, they can find their way. So let me find my way. That's enough. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push-up. Good. Float your right toes up off the floor. Right toes lift, and then you pull that thigh up and in. So low belly in. Keep your armpits forward over your wrist. So slide forward just a little bit more. Good. And then keep that belly engaged and lift that right leg up and back, down dog split. So press the hips back in space. Press through the shoulders. Good. Turn those right toes all the way down to the floor so that outer right hip spins down to the floor. Good. And then step the right foot between the hands, lunge. Nice. Use blocks underneath the hands here if you need. Keep that back heel lifted, straight in the right thigh. So nice long-legged forward stretch, straight in the right thigh. Again, blocks underneath the hands if necessary. Back heel stays lifted, so pull up through your pelvis. Good. Pressing through the big toe mound of the front foot especially. Nice. And then see if you can melt your spine a little bit more. So keep the legs really active, but then relax through your shoulders. Good. Nice, you guys. And using this idea of giving into gravity, not as a way of saying, oh, I give up, but saying the weight is there. I might as well use it, right? That's embodiment, right? There's limitations, there's structure. I might as well use it. It's not stopping me from being my infinite self. It's giving my infinite self a reference, relationship. Who am I? Good. Bend that right knee, please. Again, coming back to a lunge. Inhale, both arms up to the sky, high lunge. Good. Widen that front knee just a little bit more so you have that inner thigh energy pushing wide, and send that outer left hip forward just a little bit more. Good. And then take your hands back behind you, interlace your fingers, deep breath in. Exhale, bow deeply, take the shoulders inside the front knee. Good. Nice. Squeezing the feet towards each other and then scooping your belly, sending your right knee forward over the ankle in case it's come away from there. Good. One more breath, really hug behind the heart, stretch long through the arms. So not up more, but longer. That's it. And then come all the way back up, high lunge. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Good. Sternum to the sky, little baby back bend. So reach up, lift your hip points up. The back bend begins at your pelvis. Yeah. And then release the hands down to the floor. Nice job. Both hands come inside the front foot. Please flex that foot a lot. Drop onto the baby toe. Let your knee go wide. Good. You can always drop the back knee here if you need. Beautiful. Nice, you guys. But I still want you to not be dropping your hips towards the floor. So keep your butt lifted just a little bit, even if your back knee is on the floor. Nice. And really let that right thigh fall open. Yeah. Awesome, you guys. One more breath. Good. And then take that right foot flat to the floor again, please. Beautiful. Step back, downward facing dog. Nice. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push up. Again, armpits over the wrist, lifting the sternum forward and up. So there's this feeling in plank pose, right, that you're reaching through the entire length of your spine. You're like, that's not usually what I'm doing in plank. Do it here. Pull through the top of your head and pull back through the tops of your thighs, right? So you're getting super, super long. Good. Now lift the left toes up off the floor. As the left toes lift, you don't let your armpits fall back, right? You keep reaching forward with your sternum. Keep lifting up through the front of your pelvis. Nice. And then from the tops of your thighs, from your pelvis, lift up, press back, downward facing dog split, left leg up. Good. Toes pointing down towards the floor. So again, you're spinning that top of your left hip towards the floor so your right low belly lifts a little higher and wider. Nice. Step the left foot between the hands, lunge. Good. Blocks underneath the hands if you need. Straighten the front thigh. Keep that back heel lifted. So don't try and take the feet closer to each other. That's not the point. Keep the legs nice and long, nice and wide, but straighten the front leg. Pull your hips up and back. Good. And you can even focus here, especially if you tend to be a little bit hyperextendy behind the front knee, if your joints tend to go a little too far. So as you're pulling up through the hips, you actually focus on pulling your shins away from each other, right? So you push your shins away. Press into the big toe mound of the front foot. Good. Square the pelvis. Right hip spins forward. Nice. One more breath. Relax your shoulders. Melt. Nice, Nancy. Good, Jessica. Nice, Susan. And then bend that left knee, please. Knee over the ankle. Inhale, both arms to the sky. High lunge. Good. Again, inner knee goes just a little bit wide. Nice, Lynn. And then take the hands back behind you. Interlace your fingers. Good. Deep breath in, and then exhale. Bow inside the front knee, taking the arms up and over any amount, keeping that left butt cheek drawing in towards the midline of your mat, which means it's your right hip, back hip is spinning forward. Good. Nice, you guys. A hug behind the heart. So keep squeezing through the arms. Nice, Mark. Good, Lori. Good. One more breath. Lift through the arms longer, not higher. Yep. And then release the hands down. All the way back up to high lunge. Come all the way back up. Arms to the sky. Almost forgot. Little baby back bend or big back bend. Lift the sternum up towards the sky. Lift your hip points up. So again, you get that pelvic tilt lifting up. So you're really stretching through the front of that back thigh. Good. Nice, Harriet. And then come all the way back up. Release the hands down to the floor. Both hands inside the front foot. Flex the left foot a lot. Drop onto the baby toe. Let your knee go wide. Good. You can always drop the back knee here if you need. Nice. Andy, just scoop that left butt cheek in just a little bit more towards the midline. There you go. And then let your knee move forward a little bit more. Yeah, whole pelvis forward. That's it. Good, you guys. Yeah, wherever you are, back thigh lifted or knee on the floor. Don't let your pelvis collapse. Good. Don't let your head collapse either. There you go. Nice. One more breath. Really nice, Jessica. And then walk the hands back in. Take that left foot flat to the floor. Good. Step back, downward facing dog. Good. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push up. Nice. Again, pulling the sternum forward. So tips of your shoulders towards the tips of your fingers. Roll forward just a little bit further. Good. And then roll back, press out through your heels just so you can feel the difference. Good. Don't lift your butt. Just stay in plank and roll yourself slightly forward, shoulders towards the tips of your fingers, and then press back, still in plank, press out through your heels. So you're just rolling forward and back, shifting forward and back. Good. Yep. And then find what feels like the middle or what feels like somewhere that is between those two extremes. And then lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog without moving your hands or feet. Good. Right leg comes up and back behind you, down dog split. Nice. Toes point down towards the floor. Step your right foot between the hands. Lunge. Good. Left foot steps a little wider to the left. Drop the heel to 45 degrees. Inhale the arms up to warrior one. Good. Outer right hip spins back. Front of your, left hip spins forward. Outer right hip spins back. Apologies. Nice, you guys. Interlace the fingers overhead, pointer fingers to the sky. So you're doing that little Kali Mudra or the little cowboy gun straight up towards the sky so that you squeeze in. So pull your ribs and get as tall as you can. Pull up out of your waist. And then as you're pulling up through your spine, out of your waist, drop your pelvis a little deeper. Let your front knee go over the front ankle. Keep your hip points lifted. All right. The lifting up and drawing down, simultaneous. Good. One more breath, you guys. Lift your chest higher. Little baby back bend, maybe. Again, starting from the front of your pelvis, lift up. Beautiful. Good. And then release the arms, please. Spin your back heel up. Come into high lunge. Good. Stretch the arms straight back behind you. Lean your torso forward, parallel to the floor. So don't interlace the fingers this time. Torso parallel towards the floor. Arms reaching back behind you. Turn the palms towards each other as though you're squeezing a block between your hands. Hug the upper arms. Hug, 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 hug. Good. Butt moves back in space. Chest lifts a little higher, almost like you're in plank pose. Sternum up. Good. Squeeze those arms. Yep. And then lift your hands a little higher, but keep squeezing the arms. That's it. Nice, nice, nice. Good. Now don't change the torso. Take your arms forward alongside your ears. Deep breath. Pull. Good. And then release the hands down to the floor. Nice job. Drop the back knee. Flex that right foot and drop onto the baby toe. Knee goes wide again. Good. Make sure that you have enough space where you are not directly stacking your hips over that back knee. It should be slightly forward of the back knee. Good. Left hand plants right arm to the sky to twist. Good. Flexing the foot. Nice. And drop onto that left hand, draw your belly away from your thigh, and then actively draw the top of your right thigh away from your belly. So draw that outer right hip back so that you're really opening, not just through the chest, but you're opening through the actual crease of your thigh. Good. One more breath, heart open. Nice, Mark. Beautiful. And then release the hand back down to the floor. Please take that foot back to flat. Nice. Good. Lift the back knee, please. Step your left foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight, Parsvottanasana. Use blocks underneath the hands if you need. Good. Again, spinning that outer left hip forward. Nice. Very good, Lynn. Nice, Jessica. Nice, Harriet. Walk yourself towards the baby toe edge of your front foot. So start to move your torso towards the right. That might give you a little bit more information about what it's like to turn your outer left hip forward. Because if you weren't doing it before, now you are. Good. Nice, you guys. Watching an interesting video philosophy that was talking about how ignorance is what shapes concept of ignorance is what shapes our knowledge, gives it structure. The things that we think that we don't know or that we actively ignore coincides with what we think we know. And this is yoga, right? I had to laugh while I was watching. I was like, avidya. Got it. Walk yourself back towards center, please. Hands frame the front foot. Come up on your heel. So lift the toes of that front foot and dig down and drag back. Good. The whole practice of yoga is just undoing how much we ignore what our deeper self already knows, is that there is no such thing as separation. There's no such thing as me versus you. This embodiment is not a trap. Good. We bring that to the forefront of our consciousness. Let that right foot come back to the floor, please. Beautiful. Take your hands to your hips, come all the way up to stand. It's fun to stay in one pose for a while, right? Reset your pelvis. Left hip spins forward, right hip spins back a little bit more. Now that you're standing, you can feel that differently. And then take your hands back behind you, interlace your fingers. Yep. Shrug those shoulders up towards your ears. Hug the upper arms. Again, pulling all the way up as tall as you can. So pull up through your side waist, pull up through your side ribs, and then feel yourself anchoring into your feet. Start to bow forward, taking the arms up and over any amount. So with the sensation, again, that the legs are structured, right? Steady, holding you. And as you come forward, there's a point where you can let yourself give in to gravity a little bit, let your spine get longer, melt towards your front leg. Good. Keep squeezing the feet together. Nice, Andy, good. And then release those hands down to the floor. Really good, you guys. Step back, downward facing dog. Good. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push up. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need to your belly. Good. Rise up, cobra, point the toes back behind you. Drag the heart forward between the tips of the fingers. So again, shoulders come to the tips of your fingers. You rise up, sternum up. Good. And then press back to downward facing dog, releasing the back bend, lifting from the pelvis. Really nice, Jessica. Good, Andy. Good, Susan. Nice, Harriet. Awesome. Left leg comes up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. Step that foot forward between the hands, lunge. And right foot steps a little wider to the right, drop the heel to 45 degrees. Inhale the arms up to warrior one. Yep, warrior one first. There we go, I think. Anyway, that's where we're going. Good. Outer right hip spins forward. Top of your left hip spins back. Beautiful. Take the arms, they're overhead, interlace your fingers, pointer fingers to the sky. So again, you have that sensation of that pointer finger pulling everything into one point, one direction. So pull your ribs in and lift. From the top of your pelvis, pull in and lift. So you're getting longer through your torso. That's the challenge in warrior one, because we naturally tend to arch the back and fall forward or push the ribs forward. So pull up. Good. And front knee goes deep over the front ankle. Nice. Chest lifts, but pelvis drops. Nice. Feel your front heel anchoring to the floor. Really good. One more breath, heart high. Yeah. And then release the hands, please. Spin your back heel up to high lunge. Take your torso forward, parallel to the floor. And then stretch your arms back behind you. Good, as though you were going to clasp them, but don't take the hands together. Just hands back behind you, palms facing each other, as though you're squeezing a block, shoulders low, torso parallels the floor. Good. So you're hugging, you're squeezing the arms as though you have a block and lifting your sternum up. So again, you're still working the rotation of the arms in the shoulder socket. Lift your hands a little higher and just squeeze, right? Isometric. Good. Pull your butt back in space just a little bit more, but send your front knee forward over the ankle. Beautiful. One more breath. Lift those hands higher and squeeze. Nice, Mark. Good, Nancy. Good, Lori. Release the hands down to the floor. So, well, we'll release them down. You're there already. Don't worry about it. We didn't do the stretching them straight out in front of you. That's all right. You'll survive. Drop the back knee, please. You will survive. Flex the left foot. Drop onto the baby toe. Good. Left knee goes wide. Again, making sure that your hips are able to come slightly in front of your back knee, so don't keep them stacked. Right hand plants, left arm comes to the sky, twist. Good. The story of my life these days, details just escaping. Chest open. I laugh and think that that's one of the ways we get out of our minds, is that the details are not going to destroy your life. It's okay. Good, you guys. One more breath. Again, top of the thigh open. So get softer in your thigh crease. That's it, Nancy. Nice, Lisa. Good. And then take that heel back to the floor, foot flat. Release the hand down to the floor. Good. Lift the back knee. Step your right foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight, Parsvottanasana. Good. And catch yourselves finding all the very interesting ways that the more you practice, the more you find new ways to try and torture yourself. And that is the understanding, right? Is that it's not the world that's torturing you, it's that it's you that's torturing you. And by torturing yourself, you end up doing things that contribute to the torturing of others. It's all of our shared torture. That's what we call karma. So how do we get out? Stop torturing yourself. Start with that. Walk yourself to the left, please, towards the baby toe of that front foot. So again, you're moving your ribs, maybe taking that outer right hip forward just a little bit more. Good. It becomes very funny when you realize that you're using your very own yoga practice to torture you. The thing that's supposed to be helping you, and you're like, oh, I've weaponized it. Turned it into my own craziness. Walk yourself back to center, please. Hands frame the front foot. Flex the foot, come up on the heel and lift the toes. Good. Pressing down, dragging back and up. So again, this is the pelvis drawing up and back in space, which is what makes this a much more bearable stretch on the back of the legs. Good. So if you let your weight fall into the knee here, it's going to feel very uncomfortable. But if you pull up through your pelvis, it might still feel very uncomfortable, but it'll be much happier for your joints. So remember, you are stretching the spine here by pulling up through your pelvis, and then relax the shoulders, right? Melt the upper spine. Good. Nice, you guys. Whatever you are engaged in, do it in a way where you are not torturing yourself. Release that foot flat to the floor, please, again. Good. Take your hands to your hips. Come all the way up to stand. Nice. Adjust the feet if necessary. Adjust the pelvis. So again, squaring the hips towards the front of your mat. And then take your hands back behind you. Interlace your fingers. Good. And again, pull super long through your side ribs. So belly draws in, ribs draw in. So you get as drawn in towards the center line of the body as you can, and pull up. Again, work that upward energy of the spine. And then at the same time, press down into your feet, feel them squeeze together. And then start to bow forward, take the arms up and over any amount, but keep that sensation of squeezing the feet together, lifting up through the pelvis, lengthening through the spine. So what used to be upward energy, it's still upward energy going towards the crown, but now your crown is facing forward or down to the floor. Good. Mukti is liberation. Bhukti is embodiment, but Bhukti also references enjoyment. That's what it means, the path of enjoyment. To be in a body is a joy. Doesn't always feel like it. Release the hands down to the floor. Good. Step yourself back to downward facing dog. Nice job, you guys. Good. Slide forward, plank pose, upward push up. Good. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Good. Bend your knees, kick your heels in towards your butt. Good. Rise up to cobra with the knees bent. Press down through the tops of your knees, tops of your thighs, and then rise up. Still pulling the shoulders towards the tips of your fingers. Good. Just keep that tops of the knees pressing down as the heart lifts, sternum up. Good. Nice, Lynn. Beautiful seat. And then go ahead and release, please, pressing back up to hands and knees. Good. Press back, child's pose. And finding your breath again at the lower spine, finding your breath at the back of the heart, finding your breath wherever the heck you can find it. It's really the key. Is it the details? Is it here? Is it there? Is it moving up? Is it moving down? First step is, can I feel it? Can I stay connected to it? Can I actually practice with the true intention, true desire, unobstructed for my own peace, my own liberation, to the point where I don't let my desire for somebody else's liberation to get in the way of my own. And my connection to someone else is not a reason for me to stay stuck, but rather a reason why I continue to seek. Where is my freedom? Where is my peace? How do I become that which will free others? This practice is for you. Good. Walk yourself back up, please. Come to a high kneeling position. So walk your hands back up onto your hips. Then take your right leg out wide to the right. Good. Heel in line with your left knee. Stretch your arms out wide, letter T. And then slide the right arm down the right leg. Left arm comes over the ear. Side stretch. Good. Nice, you guys. Again, there's a feeling of pressing down into that right foot, squeezing the feet together, and then lean just a little bit more, ribs in. Good. And then come all the way back up, please. Keep that right leg extended. Just come up on the heel this time. So turn your toes up towards the ceiling. Yep, same position. And then slide the right hand down the right leg again. Take the left arm over the ear. Good. Watch that in this position, typically we have more of a challenge with the left hip or the hip that is supporting us spinning forward. So try and draw the top of that left hip back. There you go. Nice, you guys. Good. And then come all the way back up, please. Beautiful. Take that right foot flat to the floor again. Reach out to the opposite side. So left hand reaches out and down to the floor. Good. Right arm to the sky or at your hip. Yep. And then lean onto that left hand, please. Float the right leg up off of the floor. Little kneeling Ardha Chandrasana. Flex the foot. And then optional, bend the knee. Take your heel in towards your butt. Reach back for the foot or the ankle. Good. Drawing the thigh back in space, but lifting your hip points up towards your ribs. So don't fall into my pelvis goes all in one direction. Stretching the front of the thigh. Good. And then extend that leg back out. Nice, Susan. Nice, Harriet. Nice, Lisa. Good. And then release the foot to the floor, please. Nice job. Come all the way back up and then switch sides. So right knee comes underneath the right hip. Left leg comes out and wide. Good. Heel in line with your right knee. So make sure that your foot is not back behind you so your pelvic bones can be level. Arms out. Letter T. Good. Slide the left hand down the left leg. Right arm comes over the ear. Keep your feet, your foot and your knee squeezing towards each other. So again, there's this feeling of drawing everything in towards the center line and up. Good. Nice, you guys. So the emphasis in yoga is often on drawing everything in and up, in and up, in and up, because there's a natural tendency in embodiment, they say, for everything to get pulled down. So we already have that downward a lot. So we're trying to find the balance of how do I also understand the upward. Good. Come all the way back up to center, please. Same leg stays extended, but come up on the heel. So the toes turn up towards the ceiling. So it's a different rotation on the leg. Adjust the position of the foot if you need, and then arms out wide. Slide that left arm down the left leg again, take the right arm over your ear. Especially in this position too, watch that again, you're not collapsing through the knee. So there's a feeling of, again, pulling in towards the center and lifting the back of the knee or lifting the shin slightly so that the knee doesn't take all of that pressure. Good. So the fully engaged leg. Nice. What we run into, of course, is that we misunderstand that downward energy too. And we think that it's all a terrible thing or it's a bad thing. It isn't. It's simply an awareness. It's things taking on form. Come all the way back up to center. Good. Take that left foot flat to the floor again. Reach the opposite side or opposite way. Right hand out and down to the floor or a block. Left arm to the sky. And then lean onto that right hand. So make sure you have enough space between your hand and your knee. You've got to reach out beyond your knee. And then lift that left leg up parallel to the floor. So again, a Ardha Chandrasana variation. Good. You got to press into that chin, lift through the belly. And then the option is to bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt, reach back to the foot or the ankle, drawing that thigh slightly back so that it's in line with your pelvis, and then lift your hip points up towards your ribs. So it's going to feel like you're trying to actually fold the top of the pelvis up, drawing the tail a little bit longer, and then stretching the thigh back. So that really gets into the attachments of the quad and some of the hip flexors. Good. One more breath, spiral your heart open to the sky. Nice, Harriet. Nice, Mark. Good, Jessica. Good, Nancy. Nice, Lisa. And then extend the leg all the way back out. Good. Release that foot back to the floor, please. Come all the way back up. Good. And then release that knee to the floor. Beautiful. Walk back onto hands and knees and press back to downward facing dog. Good. Right leg comes up and back behind you, down dog split. Beautiful. Bring that knee forward and wide pigeon pose, right knee towards your right wrist. Good. Slide the left shin back, left knee back. Again, squaring the pelvis towards the top of the mat. Active front foot, press into the shin, and then let yourself walk forward onto your forearms, onto your blocks, whatever it is that you'd like to use. Good. I feel like I go through phases where I love pigeon and I want to do it in every class, and then I don't want to have anything to do with pigeon, and I do my best to stay away from it. I'm in a pigeon phase. We say often that if you can learn to take everything that comes your way in your embodiment as an opportunity for your enlightenment, all of it is for your liberation. All of it is an opportunity. Then we get maybe where we think we're supposed to go a little faster. So you use those relationships, you use those individuals, you use those moments that make you want to run the other direction and say, I have no idea what to do with this. You use that as fuel, right? Thich Nhat Hanh would say that you use your emotions, you use your reactions as fertilizer, compost for your enlightenment, for your realization. And as you realize the interconnectedness of things, you realize the way that you've been torturing yourself and how unnecessary it is. You start to break those bonds, karmic bonds, and say, I must be like this because you're like that, or I have to react this way because that's what we've all agreed is the right reaction. You free yourself, and others have permission, opportunity to become more free as well, or intertwined. So practice for you. It's the same as practicing for all beings. But practice for you wholeheartedly, See if you can do that. Walk yourself back up onto your hands, please. Optional twisting quad stretch here if you'd like. Bend the back knee, take your heel in, reach back, right hand for the foot or the ankle. You're reaching for that. Good. Nice. And as you're reaching for that ankle, if you are, lift your hip points up towards the top of your mat just a little bit more, like you're still trying to drop your tailbone towards the floor. Nice. So again, it stretches through the thigh just a little deeper. Beautiful. And then release that foot to the floor, please. Back up onto both hands. Lift the back knee. Good. Hover that right knee up in towards your chest for a breath. Breathe in. And then step the right foot between the hands. Lunge. Go. One step. Nice. 6 steps. Go. Good. Drop your back heel. Baby toe parallels the back of your mat. Cartwheel the arms up to warrior 2, please. Good. Drop the left hand down, the back thigh right, palm spins up and back, reverse warrior. Lifting as long as you can, like you're pulling your armpit to the sky, but you're letting your pelvis drop. So again, it's that upward energy, downward energy. Good. Prana and apana, the upward path or flow of prana and the downward flow of prana. Beautiful. Come back to center, please. Arms nice and wide, letter T, straighten the right thigh, and then come up on the heel, preparation for Trikonasana with your heel or with your toes lifted. So again, squeezing through the legs. Extend that right rib cage forward. Good. Don't collapse in the knee, right? Keep the thigh pulling up. And then let that right hand touch down to the front leg floor or block the left arm to the sky. Toes are still lifted. Good. Deep breath in, rotate your left rib cage open a little bit more. Yeah, and then stay that open, that lifted. Let the right toes drop down to the floor, press through the big toe mound of the foot, squeeze up into your pelvis even more, legs up into your pelvis. And then one more breath, rotate the left rib cage open more. That's it. Nice, Lisa. Nice, Lori. Good. Bend the right knee, please. Release both hands down to the floor, downward facing dog. Good. Vinyasa if you choose, or hang out in dog before we move to pigeon on the other side. Good. If you want the child's pose, you could also do that. If you're doing the vinyasa, sliding forward to plank, rising up or lowering down belly, coming up cobra, upward dog. Nice, Lori, like that variation. And then coming back to downward facing dog. Good. Left leg comes up and back as you're ready, down dog split. Good. Bring that left knee forward and wide for pigeon. Beautiful. Spin the right hip forward. Good. Active front foot. So again, make sure that shin is doing something. And then walk yourself forward. Find your forearms, your blocks, or whatever you need. The concept, this practice is for you. And how quickly do you run to the excuse of, well, I'm practicing for all beings, which means that I don't have to figure myself out until they figure themselves out. No. Practice for you wholeheartedly. Include the space where others will find their way also, and where you can be in service to that. But don't let that get in the way of you finding your own liberation, your own realization. Because the faster you find it, the faster we all find it. Not because it's your responsibility and not somebody else's, but because that's just how it works. We're intertwined. You free yourself from those karmic bonds, all the karmic bonds become less strong, less strict. So in Kundalini Yoga, they say that when you practice, right, that you are freeing 7 generations forward and back. Become free because of what you do. Same thing. Beings that maybe have not yet even been born become free because of what you do, what you realize. And you don't have to do it for them, you do it for you. And they will benefit. The practice can be practiced wholeheartedly, nothing in the way of the desire, the real desire for you to find your own liberation. And it's totally okay if you're like me, who says, you know, out of my mouth comes, yes, I absolutely desire that. And a little voice in my head says, no, you don't. You don't want to give up on all of the drama. You don't want to give up on all of the struggle. You don't want to be finished if nobody else is. You don't want to be living in a different state. Totally okay. Can you keep seeking the place where your realization and your embodiment come together as one? That's the practice. There's nothing that you're escaping from or escaping to. We keep flipping these things around in our mind until it settles and it becomes just a attainable thing, right? As long as our minds are convinced we can't do it, we won't. Remind yourself that it is attainable. Just keep looking at the interesting ways that you have learned to torture yourself. Take one more breath, really dropping through the wideness of your chest, your shoulders, not just the back. Then walk your hands back up underneath your shoulders. Optional to take the twisting quad stretch here. So if you're bending the knee, you're reaching back with the left hand for the foot of the ankle, so it's the opposite side hand. Good. And then again, you're trying to lift your hip points up away from your front shin or away from your thigh. Falling back, opening wide through the chest. Good, Andy. Nice, Susan. Good, Lynn. Nice, Lisa. Good, Lori. Nice, Jessica. Awesome, you guys. Release that foot, please. Plant the hands underneath the shoulders. Lift your back knee up. So again, this is getting into, again, a little strength of your thighs, your hip flexors. Hover that left knee up in towards your belly. Good. Yep. And then step the left foot between the hands. Go. Yeah. Nice. So some of that is just, body proportions that makes that difficult. But some of it is that we don't use our hip flexors a whole lot, so they get a little weak. Good. Drop the back heel, baby toe parallels back of your mat. Warrior two, cartwheel the arms up. Shoulders over the hips. Watch that front knee, that it's pushing just slightly wide towards the second or third toe. So again, you have that inner thigh energy moving wide. Good. Drop the right hand down the back leg, left hand, palm spins up and back, reverse warrior. So again, you're reaching as tall as you can through the side ribs. So you're not just falling backwards, you're pulling up. Left armpit goes straight up to the sky, but left thigh descends towards the floor. Good. And then widen your legs away from each other, but squeeze the feet. Beautiful. Come all the way back up to center, please. Arms out. Good. Straighten the left leg. Come up on your left heel. So lift the toes up off the floor. It's a preparation for triangle pose with the toes lifted. And then extend the left rib cage forward. Reach. Good. Careful you don't collapse behind that knee. And then let the left hand touch down to the floor. Right arm to the sky. Good. And rotating the rib cage open. Part of the benefit of having those toes lifted is that you have to stay more engaged in your legs. You have to have more of that upward energy through the legs in the pelvis. Good. So maintain that. Drop the left foot flat to the floor, but press into the foot and still have that feeling of squeezing the feet, squeezing the legs up and into the center of the pelvis. And then draw the rib cage in and twist open. Right rib cage opens a little more. Not your shoulder, but your ribs. That's it. Awesome, Nancy. Nice, Lori. Nice, Mark. Good. Bend the left knee, please. Release both hands down to the floor. Spin your back heel up. Press back, downward facing dog. Good. Deep breath in and then drop the knees down to the floor. Do a little hip circling. And circle the other way. Okay, spinning ourselves in both directions, moving energy in both directions. I see some people near me in my development. There's one woman in particular who I see her walking often backwards. She walks her dog backwards. You've heard of that, right? That walking backwards helps to reverse the flow of chi, right? Helps to balance it. Good. Child's pose, please. Knees nice and wide. Drop your hips back to your heels. I assume that's why she's doing it anyway, unless she just likes to challenge herself and walking her dog backwards. Right? What are you willing to do? What are you not willing to do for your own peace, for your own wellness, for your own benefit, for realization. I don't know that walking backwards is the answer, but if someone said it was, would you do it? Would you do it diligently? If everybody else looked at you and said, wow, what a weirdo, would you still do it? Most of you are going to say yes, because you're already into this yoga world and, we do weird stuff. One more deep breath. For yourself, the breath is for you. And then walk yourself all the way back up, please. Come to sit on your butt. Good, stretch the legs straight out in front of you. Good, inhale the arms up to the sky. You can flex the feet, dig your heels down. So again, the digging the heels down is that same sort of sensation of keeping the knees just a little bit soft. So drag those heels down into the floor and then pull up, interlace your fingers, press the heels of the hands up towards the ceiling. Good, so again, you're pulling up through your side ribs, pull up through your ribs, pull up through your belly, pull up through everything. Good, push out through the hands. And then start to bow forward, hinging from your hips and extend. So your butt presses back as your spine reaches forward, 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 like you're going to hook your hands around your feet. Good. Some of you can literally do that. Some of you will do it in your mind. Good. Keep those heels hooked down to the floor so that you're not doing strange things with your legs to try and reach your feet. Good. One more breath, reaching out as long as you can. Nice. And then release the hands to the legs, to the floor, wherever they naturally come. Pause for a moment, letting your spine just melt towards the legs any more that it can. Good. And then walk yourself all the way back up. Nice job. Bend your knees, please scoop forward, come onto your backs. Good. So if you have a block here, please lift your hips, place the block underneath your sacrum. So either you can rest in a supported bridge pose here with the feet on the floor, or you can take a few moments with the block underneath you and the legs up to the sky. So more of a supported shoulder stand. So your choice, one of those. Good. Nice. If you feel super duper like you need a full shoulder stand, of course, you're welcome to do that. Good. If your sacrum is on the block with your legs up, try and maintain where it's the flat of your sacrum that is finding the block. So there's actually a subtle arch to your lower spine. That subtle arch is meant to help you find the lift through your rib cage. So even though this is a supported position, you want the chest to be really open. Good. The upward and the downward flow. It's the same path. Along with that concept of the bodhisattva is the idea that they don't have to be here. That's how it's said, right? They're aware and free of their own karmas, I think, except for that last one that says that I won't leave. I won't be done until everybody else figures it out. But that concept, I don't have to be here. And we say, oh, how great to not have to be here. Well, they're here anyway, right? Here by choice. And the reality is that we're all here by choice. Whether there is karmic work to do or not do, we're here. Doesn't matter why. What matters is what are you going to do with this experience as you're having it? Again, can you free yourself from some of that thought process of the responsibility of your life or your spiritual practice? And instead, you're just here. Find your liberation, find your freedom. Do whatever it takes. Do whatever it takes for you, knowing that it's also going to be of benefit to all others. Good. Last couple of breaths in your resting sort of upside down position. And if your legs are in the air, bring the feet back down to the floor. Pausing for a breath or two. And then as you're ready, lift the hips off of the block, move the block to the side, and roll down the spine one vertebrae at a time. And again, pausing for a moment to let the spine find itself settled on the floor. Good, and then draw the knees in towards the chest. Come into happy baby, knees nice and wide, reach for your ankles or your feet. Good, and really let the knees bend here. So not because you're pulling them deeper, but because you're just letting them bend. Nice, and then squeeze the knees all the way in towards your chest. Good, cross the right thigh over top of the left, wrapping the legs like you would for eagle. Good, and then scoot your hips over to the right, please. Drop your legs to the left, so a spinal twist with the legs wrapped. Arms can go wide, arms can go up overhead, whatever works best for your shoulders. And if having the legs wrapped in a twist does not feel good on any of your joints, then unwind the legs and just have them stacked, knees stacked. Good. Nice, you guys. Then unwind the legs, come back to center, please. Switch the cross, so take the left leg over top of the right. Good, squeeze the shins together, and then move your hips over to the left, drop your knees to the right. Good, and again, arms can be wide or overhead. Contemplating that all paths, whether you are talking about liberation or you're talking about embodiment, they all lead to the same place. And that is here and now. The yogis say where those two paths come together, of course, is the heart chakra. So it leads you back here and now to your very own heart. No escaping. Unwind the legs, come back to center, please. Good. Squeeze the knees in, bring your forehead up to meet your knees. Hollow the belly, so squeeze everything. So this is Apanasana, right? So actually working that downward energy that says whatever is no longer necessary to be held, I let it go. Squeeze. And then slowly release that squeeze, stretch the legs out in front of you. Let the feet drop open, arms alongside you, palms spin up. So Shavasana, the opportunity to forget that you have a body and a mind, right? The ignorance, I forget. And if I don't have a body and a mind that I'm attached to, then what is it that I am? That's Shavasana. Fall into that breath again that washes over you. It's not this body, not this mind, but moves through this body and this mind. That's how we know it. Gently bring the awareness back to the breath. And let your body begin to stretch and move in whatever ways serve it well. And as you're ready, draw your knees in towards your chest. Roll to your right side. And take a moment before you begin to push the floor away to come back to an upright seated position. Bring the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. Again, feeling the breath for a moment, that it rises up the spine, and it falls down the spine. It doesn't matter if you're looking at it as a direction going up or a direction going down, it's the same spine. It's the same path. So the practice is in knowing that what we're seeking is not somewhere outside of us, it's in. And that what we're seeking is not something that is unattainable or that comes with this huge responsibility that somehow if you find it, that it's going to mean something beyond. It just means that you get to stop torturing yourself. It means that you get to be here and not always be struggling to be somewhere else. And then if you practice wholeheartedly just to find that sense of peace in you, is that that's enough. You don't have to reach for anyone else, anything else. Is that by you doing it for you, you will reach others, guaranteed. So let yourself off the hook and just do that. Practice wholeheartedly for you, because this embodiment is the way to your liberation. There is nowhere else. It's just this. And your liberation is the way to the liberation of all others. So we do it together. You do it for you, I'll do it for me. And because of that, we're doing it for each other. That's why we say namaste, right? I see you and me and you. I will never forget that. Close the sound of Om, deep breath in. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week until I see you again. A couple of things. There's the juice and bottled water drive today that the TTs are doing. So that starts, I believe, at 11. So if you have donations or are able to do that, then drop things by the studio parking lot. There's also sound healing today. I think you can still sign up online with Tulsi Das Dave's doing sound healing. If you're interested, look at that. Drum circle coming up at Cheryl's house. I think there's still space left. Trying to think, I think there was something else, but there's more stuff coming up and up and up, so pay attention. My class Thursdays is moving to 6 o'clock coming this